Hello, my name is Tanner Crook, and we're going to talk a little bit today about select statements. Now, this is going to be kind of general. We're just going to cover just the very basics of select statements. We're not going to get into aggregation or anything about that. We'll cover that later. But let's dive right in. So, to start off with the most basic select statement, all you have to do is select something from somewhere. So in this case, let's select everything from the contact table. And to select everything, you put an asterisk. So we're going to select asterisk from contact. That's the name of our table. And just a semicolon at the end. So let's give this a run and see what we get. And we actually select everything in the table. That means all the columns and all the rows. We're not filtering anything. We actually get everything in the table. So that's kind of what I would consider to be the most basic select statement. So let's take this a little bit further. We're going to kind of expand on our basic select statement here. So the first part of the select statement, or the select clause itself, is where we specify which columns we actually want to see from that table. What columns do we want to output? And in this case, let's just start off with something basic like the first name and last name. So we're going to select the first name and the last name from contact. Let's go ahead and give this a run and see what we get. And now you'll notice we only get the first name and last name columns from the table. We still get all the rows, but we only get those two columns. And this is a select statement with our columns specified. So now we're going to add another clause to our select statement, and that's the where clause. So let's add a little note here. So our where clause, so let's do the same select clause with the first name and last name from the same table. Now we kind of want to filter this down. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to say where last name is equal to, and let's pick on the Sweeney family. So we want to filter our results to where the last name is equal to Sweeney. So as the computer loops through these rows, it's going to check to see if this statement's true, last name equals Sweeney, and only output the rows where that's true. And you can see here that we only get 3 rows for the 3 Sweeney families. Now we can connect this with multiple statements to evaluate. So let's do that right now. So let's try adding one more. So we're going to select the first name and the last name from contact, where last name is equal to Sweeney, just like before. Guess I need to fix typos. But we're going to add one more. We're going to say and first name is equal to, let's say, Ian. I'm sure most of you can guess what's going to happen. Oh, we actually need to make sure we have it, but I'm sure most of you can guess what's going to happen when we run this, and that is that we end up with one row because that's all that's left, where the last name is equal to Sweeney and the first name is equal to Ian. Now we can combine multiple logical operators just like in most programming languages. So let's adjust this just a little bit. So I'm just going to take and copy this, and let's just add a little component to it. So we're going to make an or clause, and we're going to say or the first name is equal to Matthew. Now what's really nice is this works just like any other programming language or even math, and if we put parentheses around this statement, it's going to evaluate this statement like this. So it's going to say where the last name is equal to Sweeney and the first name is equal to Ian, or the first name is equal to Matthew. And now you can see we get 2 rows because the first name can either be Ian or Matthew. And so that's a little bit with that or statement. Now there's lots of little other functions and tricks you can use. For example, in this case, if we wanted to shortcut this just a little bit, or if we were going to have more of an exhaustive list and we didn't want to have to do as many keystrokes, we can say and first name in Ian Matthew. We can provide it a list, so we can say the first name and last name of people whose last name is Sweeney and the first name is in our designated list, which in this case is Ian and Matthew being in the list. And we can run that and you can see we get the same results. So that is how you kind of can add that where clause, and you can add many of those. You can just keep adding those where clause to continue to filter. Now, the last thing that I consider to be important in a basic select statement without aggregation is ordering your results. So let's do a select statement with OR clause. So we can do a select statement with an OR clause. We're going to actually take this same select statement where we got all the Sweeney family members, and we want to filter their result, or not filter, we want to order their results. And we want to order it by first name. So we're going to say order by, and then we just specify the column. And by default, SQL will order it in ascending order. And you can see that we go from an I to an MA and then to an ME. If we wanted to, we could add DESC here to specify that it's descending. And then we would get the first name, the records in descending order by first name. And you can specify multiple columns here. So if we wanted to sort our entire table where we select the first name and last name, we can specify multiple columns. So in this case, we're going to order by last name and then first name. And you can see that we get this in alphabetical order, sorted by last name and then by first name. So C, G, M, R, S, V, W, so on and so forth. And then within the Sweeney family or the Visquel family, you'll notice that the first name is then sorted within those records alphabetically. And we could again apply the DESC to sort them the other way. And by default, it sorts ascending, which is the same as actually having the keyword ASC to sort ascending. So if you want to explicitly declare that, you can do so. That is the most basic select statements without aggregation that I can show you. If you have any questions, let me know.